Hey guys, welcome back to New Mommy's Club. I'm Angelica.
I'm Arianna.
And today we wanted to talk about sleep schedules and screen time, but first here's our little regrouping corner or catch up corner. So you want to start off or?
Yeah, sure. This week's been a little crazy. Whitney is sick, and so that's a little terrifying in itself. So I went to the pediatrician on Monday. So a couple of things have happened. She's had her hip ultrasound since she was breached, so she had to get that done. Comes to find out she does have mild hip something or whatever.
Displacement or?
Yeah, I don't remember. They were using so many big words. We're just like, cool. So what does that mean?
I know. It's kind of like a lot of Googling by the time you get home and figuring it out.
Oh, that, and then it's like they're talking so fast, like subluxation, what? You know? So we had that, and then we took her to the pediatrician. She's negative for all colds. I personally think it's allergies. But she just sounds so horrible.
Yeah.
I just want to take it from her. Today we're gonna go see the orthopedic surgeon to see, or they're gonna decide if she's gonna go in a Velcro brace or not for her hips.
Did they show you how it would look if she were to be in one?
No, that's what we're gonna see today. Yeah, because originally the pediatrician said she'll go on a brace if they want her to, but I don't think it's as severe because now the pediatrician said the first time we went and discussed it that it would be a hard brace. So now that it's a Velcro one, I feel a little bit better that it won't be so bad if she does have to be put in a brace. But yeah, then that's about what's going on right now for my week.
That's a lot. It's a lot. I don't think Zayne had, or he didn't have any type of like cold or anything like that till maybe he was like 3 months. So I can imagine, because Whitney's still about a month and a half now.
Yeah, I mean, she turns 2 months on the 27th, so it's like she was almost right there for her first vaccines, but it's like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Well, at least it's a good thing that she tested negative for RSV. That's like the scariest thing, and apparently they can get it even up to a year plus.
Yeah, and luckily the pediatrician showed us videos of what it looks like. So yesterday I was
what is that type of breathing you see on their bellies?
She just told us it was like a marathon breathing, like.
Yeah.
And so yesterday I was like, was she doing it? But she'll do like a, and then she'll stop. And and she did that during the pediatrician appointment. She goes, as long as she stops, it's fine. She goes, it's when they're like asleep or something and they're doing that. But when she was kind of breathing quick, it was only when she was up and awake and you know. So I'm like, and she would calm down. So I'm like, okay. I still took videos because they told me take videos because when you go to the ER, they're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But if you show them a video like saying no, hey, they're gonna keep you there.
Right.
So I was like, okay. So I have 3 videos, but it's like, when I compare it, it's like, this doesn't look like
it doesn't look like what is it? I forgot what it's called. It's some type of breathing where their bellies like are contracting and working double time.
Yeah. I don't remember what it was called. I just know she's like, if it looks like they're running a marathon and they're just doing nothing, then that's when something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, but yeah.
Do you have asthma?
I do have asthma.
Me too. Well, seasonal.
I never kicked mine. And I asked the pediatrician and she goes, no, she's too young to have it or to develop that yet.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. Because I got it about 2 months. Granted, I got pneumonia and then asthma. So I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, my parents were telling me.
When you were a baby? When you were 2 months? Oh my God, that's so scary.
Yeah, so, and I never grew out of my asthma. I still have it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get it whenever I'm like running outside in the cold or if I laugh too much. I have my inhaler on deck, but it's usually only kicked in whenever I have like a really bad cold or like allergies, but nothing too crazy. The elephant in the room, we're at a different location. Sorry if it looks a little interrogation vibes, but if you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see that we're not at Arianna's. We're usually at Arianna's place, but this time we couldn't find a sitter, so got to work with what we got, and we are at my house. So sorry if the setting is a little bit different, but we're working with it.
You know, it's cozy because it's raining outside.
Yeah,
so
yeah. We have the window open, so we're able to see the rain just fall down. It's kind of like cafe vibes.
Yeah,
maybe.
I might get distracted because I was like, oh, there's a bird. I might get back into it.
I know, that's the thing, is that we live on kind of like a busy street, and so we constantly see cars come by, which kind of helps with entertaining Zayne sometimes instead of just, you know, we don't always do screen time. Screen time is part of our daily routine, but we do, I try to find some entertainment within the mundane of life, because there's still there's a lot of beauty in the mundane, so trying to do that. But anyway, my week has been pretty good. I was just telling Arianna, I had completely slipped my mind. Yesterday I actually had to call poison control because I had gotten, so Zayne's hair is kind of growing out this way instead of just straight down. So I like to comb his hair with, I usually would put like a little bit of lotion on it and then comb it. But I felt like it would be back to messy like within the next 15 minutes. So it was kind of pointless. So I had a friend that mentioned she uses this, I wish I brought it with me, but it's called Recitos de Oro. So it's part of like the cultural aisle where it's for babies, and it has like chamomile in it, and it's a little baby gel. And I tried it on Zayne yesterday, and of course, me being, I don't know, it's silly for me to do it, but I did it right in front of him. So he was sitting on my lap. I had the little gel container in my hand, and of course he saw it, so he dipped his hand into it, and I made sure to wipe it straight away with like a wipey. But there might have been a little bit of residue left because he was wearing long sleeves. And I had sat him down in his bouncer, and then I looked over at him, and he was gnawing on it, and it was like completely soaked, like he was sucking on it for a while. So I was like, oh crap, like I hope that he didn't get like a lot of, like he didn't eat a big glob. And from what I remember, there wasn't any like big amount of gel left over. If anything, it was just like a little bit of residue that was left over. But I had called poison control just to be safe. And basically the gel is like all natural ingredients. So it just has like chamomile in it. So if anything, he would just have a little bit of diarrhea episodes. So we're just keeping our eyes peeled on that. But first scare of as far as him getting into anything like that. And then we went to a park, or Zayne and I went to a park like a couple days ago. And so since he's been learning how to sit up by himself now, he can be placed in a swing. So I still try to, like, I hold on to the swing as I'm pushing it because the holes on the bottom are a little bit big. So I'm just afraid that he's just gonna, I don't know, or he could always just like fly out. So I'm always there with him, but he loves it. Like I got a video of him just smiling through it. So it was fun to see him do that. So that's basically been my week. Arianna treated us to some Chick-fil-A and some Starbucks. So
much needed.
Yeah, we're having an early morning. We're doing this during Zayne's first nap.
Yeah. I think the other thing we want to discuss is that we're changing our schedule. We realized mom life hit us.
Yeah.
So we're going to be uploading twice a month now. So like every other week or every other week in the month. But essentially just twice a month because, mom life hit both of us like, wow, this was getting a lot. And just get something more realistic because I'll be returning to work here in May and also school full time again. So it's like we need something that's going to work with both of our busy schedules because I know you got a part-time job too. So. But just also so we don't take away from either of our kids.
Yeah. I think that's the main thing for me is like when I start realizing that anything is taking time away from Zayne, I start resenting it. And this is supposed to be like a fun hobby. So I love being able to do this. And I think it's also fun that I'm able to do this with one of my good friends because we just get to chit chat about life and go into depth about certain things in the mom world. So yeah, and you know, if you're a mom, you know that it's not just one job. You're not just staying at home doing nothing. You're babysitting, you're cleaning, you're cooking, you're doing a whole bunch of different things. And then once your baby starts getting into that certain stage to where they don't want to just be sat down and you can walk away, like they need to be with you 24/7. So it gets a little bit, it just gets a little overwhelming. So that's what we're going to do. And then in the future, we might go back to weekly, but just to see how it goes. We're filling it out for now.
Yeah, I just get something more realistic, and like we said, spend more time. I know Whitney's been very clingy lately. She's sick, going through that. Her body's still trying to get out the last bit of that old formula because her pediatrician said it could take up to 2 to 3 weeks. She's only on week 2.
To get used to it, yeah.
Exactly. I think she's getting better, but I'm sure she still has some upset tummies, because even when we feed her now, she still gets a little like crying during it, and it's like, okay, you have no gas, you have a clean diaper, I'm feeding you, so I think her tummy's still adjusting. And then the time change too, that's messed up her sleep schedule.
Yeah,
so
lost
she's
a whole hour.
Yeah, so she's going to bed later, but in reality, in her mind, it's 9
the
o'clock.
Same time.
Yeah.
So okay.
It's been those things. So yeah, I think we needed definitely more work-life balance of what we wanted to do when it came to the podcast.
Yeah, and I think that's important, just to sit back and regroup. So that's what we're doing for now. Did we want to get into?
Yeah, I'll let you go in first.
So we're just gonna jump right in. I wanted to go over screen time first, just because it's part of our daily routine, Zayne and I's. This is just how we choose to incorporate it in our day. So I think it's unrealistic for a lot of parents to not do any, like, 0 screen time. I think it's good to limit it. However, if you're sometimes you need to wash the dishes, sometimes you need to do load another load of laundry, and sometimes it's a matter of you doing that in order for you to be able to get that done. And whether you're working from home or you're a student or you just need a little break. So I think the key word in screen time is balance. The very best thing for your baby is always going to be you. You're the best mama for that baby. So whether that just be doing face-to-face, making eye contact. I saw this thing too where it triggers some type of brain chemistry inside your baby's brain whenever you make eye contact with them.
Yes.
So if it's just putting your baby on your knees and propping them up to look straight at your face and make little faces at them, and they'll start copying you too.
Yeah, I read the same thing too, that it and it's like a bonding thing too. So I feel like that's why when I feed Whitney, I feed her better in a sense, because I'm looking at her, compared to David, he'll feed her and watch TV. I'm like, no, you gotta look at her.
Yeah. And they start picking up on that really quick. So whenever you are doing any type of screen time, I think it's always better if you're watching it with them, like whether it's having the baby on your lap. And for example, we like to watch Miss Rachel, and so she does do a lot of educational segments with nursery rhymes and signing. So whenever she does any type of signing segment, I'll try and put Zayne's hands together and do it so that he can learn how to communicate like that. And also, she is so educational. I learn a lot from her as well. So whenever you watch it, you change the pitch in your voice so that the baby or your baby is more interested in what you have to say. So you're like, the horse says neigh, or you say it in a way to where it intrigues them. And I think that it's beneficial for you to watch as well. And there's also not only Miss Rachel, but I think there's another show called Oxbridge Baby, and there's also, I forgot what the Hay Bear, but Hay Bear is just a bunch of fruits dancing.
Oh,
we tried that, and Zayne did not find any interest in it.
My sister, who's 15, loves those little fruits.
Yeah.
She thought, she thought cocoa melon was those little fruits, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Those are something different.
So I did hear, with cocoa melon, that because something about how quick they change from scene to scene, that it's it's not very beneficial for your child to watch because it's tricking their mind to constantly be stimulated by something brand new every few seconds. So that's how they get like short attention span. And they're already like they have a very quick attention span sometimes.
Yeah, I was reading that they get bored.
Yeah.
Like I think Whitney's almost at the age where she doesn't do much, but she can get bored of looking at the same thing all the time. So now I'm like moving her around the house. Like you haven't been in the kitchen. Here's a new thing while we eat, you know, and her little like bouncer thing.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's so good to do is like just bringing them around and showing them around the house sometimes and just letting your baby be bored sometimes, but you can entertain them. Like I know that some days are more tiring than others, and so there are like we have a leapfrog book, and you can point at a picture and it'll tell you milk. So you just like bring it in front of them so that they can see it, and it'll say what it is. So those are a little bit more helpful when it comes to those days when you're a little bit tired and you don't feel like being just Miss Rachel type of vibes all day long.
For sure. I'm glad you brought up Coco Melon, because that was going to be a question. Like, what did you feel about it? Because I've heard the same thing, that it's not really the best thing. I mean, I know if you want to use Coco Melon, that's great. You know, but I have heard the controversy.
Yeah, we've never tried it because of that. Yeah, but like I said, I think it's just, it comes to balance. Like even too much Miss Rachel cannot be good for your baby. It always comes down to you being the best entertainment for them. Like Zayne isn't very much of a cuddler right now, and so I think that he enjoys more of like me setting him down and me like making him face to face and doing like clapping or like just certain engagement like that is what he enjoys, instead of me like just loving up on him.
He's
too
like
much.
Becoming a little bit independent man.
Yeah, he is. He's super independent. So I think that it's just all about balance. I think that's what it comes down to. And if that's what you and your child watch, there's no judgment.
No, I don't put any. I mean, Whitney doesn't. What's the word? She doesn't have the attention span like Zayne, like to comprehend, like, oh, this screen is for me. So I mean, I still just watch whatever. Like I had You on the other day on Netflix or The Housewives.
Oh yeah.
I think she does like The Housewives. I don't know, maybe like just the chattiness of the ladies.
Maybe, yeah.
And they're Miami. It's Miami I'm watching right now, so all the voices, I'm like, you know what? She's learning bilingual. They speak Spanish.
That's so cute.
But I mean, she seems to. She'll like watch it a little bit, and then she'll look at me, and I'm like, yeah, we don't like Lisa or whatever.
I've never seen any housewife episode.
Oh, girl. Beverly Hills, Kyle Richards, I love you.
Do you see Vanderpump Rules?
Okay, David and I started Vanderpump Rules together, and this mofo won't let me rewatch it. It's like, because I want to watch it with you. Okay, then let's watch it. No, I want to watch something else. I'm like, and so when I saw the Arianna and Tom Sandoval.
Yeah, that's been flooding my TikTok, and I have no idea who those people are. But I know that there's some type of like cheating scandal.
Yes, so when I saw it on Instagram, I was like, oh, David, he goes, what? I'm like, this is what we need to watch it.
He's like, no.
Yes. But no, I love all the reality. And me and my sister, I can watch it by myself, but my sister loves watching it with me because we'll comment on it the whole time. Even David, he'll be like, oh no, she didn't. I was like, I know. And he's like, yeah, we don't like that.
we don't side with her. Yeah, I think whenever Zayne was a newborn, I could get away with watching whatever I wanted to watch because he didn't have that sense of like understanding that the TV is where you watch just people. But we introduced Miss Rachel whenever he was about 4 months old. And we would just like put him in his swing, turn that on, and then I would make breakfast or do something really quick. Yeah. But that always helped, especially when it came to like baby wearing. Baby wearing is very helpful, especially when they're at the newborn phase and they're doing a lot of contact naps.
That's when you actually wear them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
With the carrier or the wrap. Yeah. But
I was like, is that new?
I still have to wear him sometimes. Usually it's whenever I'm cleaning the house because he doesn't like the sound of the vacuum.
I think I need to get one of your little slingy things or something because I only have the one where they face outwards, and I was reading you can't put a newborn in that. Yeah. You need to put the like comfy tight one on because I don't remember. I read, but I was reading up on like, can I use this now? And I was like, no, I can't use this now.
Yeah, and some of the baby wearing wraps are not good for your back. It's a lot of trial and error. Some of them are really expensive, and so I know that those are really good quality baby wearing wraps. But I think which brand did we get? I think we got it from Target, but it's a Target held brand, but we got it from somebody on Facebook Marketplace. Like a lot of the stuff that we own is a lot of secondhand stuff. Except for like some of his onesies, like if we're able to find something on Amazon where they have like a 5-pack of onesies, like that's all Zayne is ever wearing is onesies and pants. We're starting to get a little bit, Texas had like a soft launch of spring weather, and then we went slowly back into our winter weather.
We're going back to winter this weekend.
Yeah, so there's actually a tornado warning for this week.
Yeah, the winds are like 40 miles an hour on Friday or something like that. Yeah.
I'm such a seasonal, like, mood type of person. I will feel, like, so depressed on these days because it's, like, cloudy and rainy. Sometimes I do enjoy that whenever I'm able to get, like, a nice break and just, like, relax at home. Like, I do enjoy those days, but since it's been like this all week, I'm like, ugh. I'm just like craving the sun.
See, I fully believe I'm not meant to live in the South because so when I went to school in Lubbock at Texas Tech, we had more of a season, right? But we had cold, and I love the cold. I would love when I would get down to like 20s or when it snowed. I thrived on the cold.
Yeah.
So then moving back, I'm like, I miss the cold. I love when it's days like I'm the opposite. I love when it's dreary out and cold. I just think it's so cozy.
Yeah.
That's why I keep my house so dark too, because I'm like, what sun?
When's your birthday?
April, next month.
Oh, I was about to say, it's because, no, you got married in December.
I got married in December, yeah.
Yeah. That was a beautiful wedding, by the way. I loved your color scheme. And it was like 2 days before Christmas.
Yeah, the 21st. I still tell David to this day we should have eloped, but whatever.
I think about that now, and I'm like, well, we had a small wedding. We might as well have just eloped, but...
I didn't even want the wedding. He wanted the wedding.
I didn't know that.
He was the bridezilla. I was like, no, let's go elope. Let's go for 2 weeks. Like those 2 weeks that people are like, teachers are off. I'm like, let's go. Let's go get our closest friends and family. Yeah. Go somewhere, and we go for a vacation for 2 weeks. We spend Christmas and your birthday there. No, I want a wedding for my family. And then all of his family was like, why didn't y'all elope? Y'all been together for...
His family was like that?
Yes. And I was like, thank you. We could have saved, I mean, probably wouldn't have saved, but had to like spent it on more, experiences than just a day, you know? But oh well. So yeah.
When are you planning on going on your first like plane trip with Whitney?
So I know we just talked about this. So originally we were gonna go see my best friend Mary Kate in Boston, hopefully. Towards like August, September, I was gonna get with her schedule because she's in grad school. So I was like, I was gonna do it a girls trip, and then I was like, oh, we'll make it a family trip so David can go because he's like, I saw her in New York twice, and he's like, well, I want to go up there. So I figured that was gonna be it. Then when we were talking yesterday about doing a girls trip, I'm like, yeah, forget that.
Oh, you'll bring Whitney.
I think I'll bring her, but then part of me is like, maybe that'll just be like an adult girls trip. But I don't know yet. I do know me and my parents are talking, and well, we'll include David too, but me and my parents have been talking about taking a trip in November somewhere. So I think that should be her first plane trip. Yeah. So she'll be 10 November. I can't math. 10 months? She'll be 10 months old?
Yeah, I think that'll be good. I mean, it's like, it's whatever. People are like, oh, you need to go now. I remember whenever I was pregnant, I had somebody from a family member say, oh, like as soon as the baby is a newborn, that's when you should travel because they are not wiggling around, they're not running around. But I don't know. I think it's a little bit harder when they're newborns because you're worried about all the sicknesses that they can possibly get. And airplanes are not the cleanest place.
That, and they're unpredictable. Newborns are unpredictable when they sleep. Yeah, they slept for a week at this exact time, but then the day that you go, they're like, no, I'm going to be awake during this time.
Time difference is huge too.
Yeah, that too. I do know we're planning a trip to the coast this summer.
That'll be fun.
So I'm excited to see how she'll do
in
the sand.
Yeah. So going back to, sorry, I got a little bit off topic there, but something that reminded me of me using screen time. So usually I will only do screen time when we're at home, but I know that I have tried when it comes to Zayne getting his shots. I will put it on my phone to watch Miss Rachel. It doesn't stop him from crying, but it does, like, sometimes whenever they're taking a little bit longer to come in and analyze him, I'll turn that on. So sometimes when we're at the doctor's office, I'll put that on.
Okay. I know Whitney's getting her 2 month shots at the end of this month, so it's like, what can I do or prepare myself for that now? That maybe I'll put something on. So it's, I don't know.
I do recommend having some Tylenol on deck for at least whenever you get home.
Yeah, no, I already have some bought. I know they said they'll give it to her there.
Oh, good.
I'm just anticipating how that day's gonna go. I'm hoping she's out of this sickness by then, so she doesn't have so many things going.
What time is your appointment? Is it like in the morning or the afternoon?
The morning. I think it's at like 9:30 or 10.
Okay. I was gonna say, so whenever Zayne had his 2 month shots, he had a morning appointment too, and after his shots, he like wanted to sleep throughout the whole day. So I was like, I'm gonna make sure to schedule his 4 month shots at like afternoon so that he can sleep for a longer period, because some babies, it either disturbs their sleep or it makes them sleep longer.
She's a heavy sleeper.
Yeah, she really is.
She is. The other day, what was it? I think it was Monday. Once we got home, she was out for like 5 hours. And me and David were like, you alive? And she was. But it was like, and then of course, once you start talking about them, oh, you're talking about me? Okay, I'll wake up.
My ears, they're ringing.
So I was about to start dinner. I'm like, David, come get her. Come get your child. But yeah.
That's one of the biggest reasons why I started to like meal prep for the week, because I felt like, again, like I started to resent cooking because it was taking time away from my son. And so Jimmy is usually gone for most of the day. So by the time he gets home, like I should have dinner ready for us, because like within an hour I have to bathe Zayne, get him ready for his bedtime. And so it's just too much. Like it wasn't realistic to live like that. So I started meal prepping. Like every Monday I would get all of our lunches, all of our dinners. And so then all we have to do is just pop it in the microwave and then we'll be good to go.
I started, I got stuff for smoothies, because like yesterday I couldn't eat lunch because she wanted to be healthy. I literally ate 3 bites of my salmon and rice. I was like, whatever. So I need to get the protein powder down so I can like make a smoothie and just sip on that.
Yeah.
Or I bought those Fairlife protein drinks. And I was like, yeah, because I don't know. I want to still cook because I enjoy it and it's my break, right? You know, so David can hold her, let me do a different task, because I've been with her all day. I want to do something different. Yeah. So yeah.
I feel that. It wasn't until like, so sometimes I do like get tired of the meal prep because that's what you're having every other day, unless you're just switching what you have for lunch for dinner the next day and vice versa. But now, since Zayne is on solids, I started to do a little bit of a mix of baby-led weaning as well as just me feeding him. I had bought one of those, and maybe we'll have another episode specifically on baby-led weaning and solids. But this is something that we had started within the past couple of weeks. I bought one of those Life Vac things from Amazon.
I remember us talking about that.
Yeah, because for some reason, like, I just did not feel comfortable feeding him, even though, so there's this app called Solid Starts, where it tells you all the foods that you can start your baby on at each stage and how you can feed them. So for example, if you're feeding them eggs, you're supposed to cut it in like an omelet, like cook it like an omelet and then cut it in strips. But I just like scramble them, and Zayne just picks them up as it is. But yeah, I needed to have that just to have that peace of mind. I know how to do CPR, but
it's still scary because you know, sometimes you can break your an adult's chest. So I can't imagine doing that to your baby. Yeah.
So going, I guess we can start on sleep schedules, or did you want to?
I'll do the screen time I have.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Like again, Whitney doesn't really know much. The only thing I plan on doing too is like, the balance, the limiting it. You know, I think my main thing is limiting my husband's screen time, because I feel like David is very much obsessed with his phone. And like one time he was feeding Whitney, and he's like, I'll feed her, you go shower. So I said, great. So I come out of the shower, and this man's trying to set up his phone to watch something and feed her. I'm like, bro, you can be okay without your phone.
For at least, how long does she take to finish her bottle? Maybe like
30 minutes, I would say. But, you know, John's like, you know, you need to look at her, have that bonding.
Interact,
You know? And so, because he's always like, I don't think she feeds good with me. I'm like, well, you're like this or you're like this. Look at her, you know? So that's what I'm working on, because I know growing up, my parents had a no phone rule at the table. Like, you could have your phone, but you couldn't be on your phone. And I think growing up, we still all do that. Like, we'll all still talk and have a nice dinner. And I enjoy that. I love that. Because then I think it taught me that I don't need my phone to entertain myself.
Yeah.
Because then when I go out to eat, like with David's parents and stuff, everyone's on their phone, and I'm just sitting there like, just looking around. Because I'm like, I don't want to be on my phone the whole time. Like, can we talk? So now it's like a rule. David and I, get off your phone while we eat. Like, let's talk or whatever. Sure, you can have the TV on, but pause it. Like my dad's also deaf in one ear permanently, and he's partial in the other one. So I think that eye contact was instilled in me, because my dad's always like, look at me when you talk to me.
Yeah.
So now with David, I'm like, look at me when you talk to me. I need that. I need you to look at me. So I think that's what I kind of want to instill, that family time. And I don't want her to think that dad's always on his phone and she feels neglected. You know, I would hate for her to come to me and like, why is dad always on his phone? I'm trying to talk to dad, and he's like, okay, you know, it's like, stop what you're doing. That's what I'm trying to train David to do. It's like, when I say stop. I'm like, okay, 1 second, no. Stop and give me your full attention. Especially when your daughter's going to come up to you and be like, Dad, and you're like, yeah.
It comes off as they're not a priority. Like, you prioritize your phone over spending time with your child.
Exactly. So that's the only thing, like, I really want to do. I mean, I won't deny it, you know, like when we're at home, I kind of want to do the same thing, like kind of just keep it at home. If she's really having a day and we're out, okay, sure. But I mean, that's what it is right now. But I mean, I don't know, because she doesn't acknowledge the screen time. So we'll see when
she gets a little bit older.
But that's where I'm like, my head's kind of at on it right now. And that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to spend dinners like all together and fully connected, because that's how that's like when we go eat with my parents, that's how it still is. We're all, phones are all away, and we all kind of do it unintentional, you know, like we just realize we put our phones away and we all have a nice interacting dinner. I like it.
I love that. I think that's very wholesome, and I think that that's how you truly bond with the people that you love, because you never know, you know, it could be your last day. And I hate to sound so doomsday-ish, but you just never know.
It's true. I mean, I don't have my grandpa anymore, and I think back, like I still have the messages he left me on my phone, like the text messages.
Oh, do you have voicemails too?
I don't have any voicemails from him, but I at least have text messages, you know, saying, so when I was in college, he basically funded my, like, spending, I guess. You know, like he gave me a credit card and was like, this is for your groceries, this is for this, we'll pay for this. So I would never ask for money, you know. I'm not working, they let me be a full-time student, right? So he would text me, Nana, $100 deposit, love you. And it's like, oh, and just so it's like those are the only texts I have, but it's like it's still, you know,
he was thinking of you.
Yeah, and it's like I had $5 in my cup. I didn't ask for the money, so it was always nice, you know, just looking back on pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. I have to be honest. Sometimes I catch myself scrolling on TikTok while I am feeding Zayne because there's no excuse for it, but the way that I feed Zayne is I have him lay on my belly and he drinks. I try to get him to hold his own bottle, but every time I try to do it, he like lets go and doesn't want to drink it. So I don't mind that. It's one step at a time. He's already falling asleep by himself, so I just don't. Just one little thing I can hold on to, then I'll hold on to it.
Yeah.
But I do catch myself scrolling on TikTok, and sometimes he'll look up at me, and I'm like, oh, okay, I need to put it away, and I need to tell you how much I love you, and I need to say what we need to do, just like talking through your day, or like whenever we're going on walks, just saying, oh, do you see the trees? Like narrating your entire walk. I think they enjoy to hear your voice because it reminds them when they were in utero, and so it's something that I'm actively working on, but it's good that you actually call David out and tell him, because sometimes whenever I see Jim, so since Jimmy is a realtor, he's constantly on his phone. But I think that he can put it down while we're at dinner for at least 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So sometimes I'll see him on his phone, and so that'll trigger me to be like, oh, okay, it's okay for me to be on my phone too. So then I'll start doom scrolling. And then I'm like, why am I scrolling? Like, it's just new stuff that I'm constantly being stimulated by when I just need to just be present. I think it's just so important to be present. And I think that they get to I think it's whenever they turn around 9 months that they start noticing any type of like true distractions, or my mommy doesn't want to spend time with me, or I learned how to self-play or be a lot more independent. So that's something that I'm guilty of, but I have caught myself the past couple of times.
I think moms are better at it, like of catching themselves, like, oh, I need to read, like, so that same thing, like when I was watching you, I really wanted to watch the show, so I would feed her, and then she'd look at me, I'm like, can we pause this and look at you? You know, it feels, you feel kind of guilty, like, I'm sorry, like I'm taking my time away from you.
Also, I think that whenever you're feeding with a bottle, it's hard not to want to go to the phone. I don't know. This could be a hot take, but I have a friend who is breastfeeding, and it was very sweet because she was doing it to the side and making her. She was feeding to go to. She was nursing to go to sleep, and she was just staring at her. Like she was just staring at her, and she was feeding her, and I was like, God, it starts making me regret that I started formula feeding, but I don't want to say regret. I think that you can still have a good bond with your baby when you're not breastfeeding, but that's what I have to keep in mind. I have to just have my attention on Zayne and not have any other type of distraction while you're feeding.
See, I can't typically reach my phone. I can't reach anything because I'm holding her, and then so then I'm like dinosaur.
Do you have one of those pillows to lay her on?
So sometimes my right arm, it's gotten so strong I could fully hold her and feed her like this.
Just without this holding on a pillow?
Without nothing.
Wow.
I could do it typically in bed, like when David was gone. That's how I would feed her at night. I wouldn't leave the bedroom, and I would just feed her like that. I'm trying to train my left arm to get that strength so I can do that. But that's all I do. So typically if someone calls me or something, it's like dinosaur arms. I'm like trying to get my phone, or like typically like if like someone texts me or calls me, I answer it on my watch. So, but I'm kind of.
That's so funny. I was always on my left, but I also, what is the name of that pillow that I had?
Is it like a boppy or something?
A boppy, okay. Yes. I would lay him on the boppy, but he would rest his head on my arm. But especially in the middle of the night feedings, like I'm like asleep, but I'm still like feeding him. That came in clutch.
I like fully wake myself up. I'm like, I go pee, and then I think it's because I did so many late night drives. Peyton would know this because we went to tech together. So sometimes we would follow each other if we didn't carpool. But I remember like, okay, okay, slap my
Wake yourself up.
yeah. So I think that like kicks in for me.
Yeah.
And I'm being like, okay, let me look at you crazy eyed and stuff because I know I need to wake up and feed her.
Yeah.
And I think I'm terrified of like
falling asleep
and relaxing.
Or falling. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm just like, okay, I gotta I gotta stay awake.
I know that there was a couple of times when Jimmy was helping me a little bit. I think that he helped for like a probably about a month, where we would take turns in the middle of the night to so he would take like the first half of the night. Right. I think it was like, so Zayne would fall asleep at like 7, and then he would wake up for his first feeding at like around 10. So he would take it until 12 o'clock, and then I would take the rest of the night. And he told me that sometimes he would be feeding him and he would like wake up because I guess he fell asleep and the bottle was like on his face, like on Zayne's face like this, and they both fell asleep on the chair. I'm like, okay, please don't do that again. Yeah. You need to make sure. So it's just a matter, it's very important that you, but it's hard. It's so hard, especially after 12 o'clock for me is when I reach my REM sleep. So it's still really hard for me.
Yeah. Well, I guess if we're talking about sleep, we can get into sleep now. Do you want to go?
Yeah. So when Zayne was about a couple months old, I had pretty much asked all of my friends that had babies when their babies started sleeping through the night, because I was just like so desperate for sleep. Like I wanted to know, is the finish line coming soon? Is there light at the end of this tunnel? And I got a bunch of like mixed responses. Like one mom told me that her baby started sleeping through the night around 10 months or so. So I was like, okay, that's attainable. Another mom told me, oh, she started sleeping through the night at around 3 weeks. And I was like,
I've heard that too. I'm looking towards you now, like she's almost due. Zayne's 6 months, he's starting to sleep. I'm like, so I'm not doing that.
I know. And then I had another mom tell me that it took both of her sons 2 years. 2 years to sleep through the night. And I think they were both 2 under 2. Yeah. So that was a little bit disheartening to hear. But so I personally, like I knew from the beginning I didn't want to co-sleep. We did try. Like I would put him, and I know this isn't considered safe sleep. You're not supposed to lay your baby inside one of those dockatots, or we had a Snuggle Me. I think that's what it's called. But essentially, it's one of those little beds that makes them feel nice and cuddled. And we swaddled him, and we put him in between us. And it especially helps for those night feedings because you could just grab him. And I was still breastfeeding, combo feeding at the time. So it was helpful, but whenever they're newborns, like any little movement, they grunt so much in their sleep. Like I was not sleeping at all. It would wake me up for any little thing. Yes.
You couldn't differentiate. I can't even say it.
I would. So if I didn't hear any noise, I would freak out. Okay. If I did hear any noise, then I was like, okay, they're awake. But I'm a very light sleeper. Like whenever Jimmy is snoring, I'm like, you're snoring. You're snoring. Like I cannot sleep through it.
See, I think it's because I've grown up. Oh God, I don't want this to restart. Hold up, sorry.
It's okay.
I think it's because I've grown up with loud dogs, like the Frenchie and Bulldog type. They all snore and grunt. So I remember my parents had an English Bulldog, and she snored loud. So it's like a rhythm. It's humming to me.
It's like your little sound machine.
It is. So when
white noise.
So when Jiggy and David would snore, I'm like, whatever. And so now having her, it did take me a while to like, okay, what are her sounds, right? So she does have like an almost crying sound, but she's dead asleep.
Yeah.
Dead asleep. She'll go,
yeah.
But she's fine. She's just like, but my favorite noise she makes is her little giggle. It'll be dead silent. Here's
kind of creepy.
It's not to the creepy level yet because it still sounds kind of cute.
Yeah,
but I can't imagine when we put her in her crib and in the middle of the night.
I know.
Yeah. She's a very loud sleeper. So
Apparently that's called like active sleep, to where like there's still sleep and you have to wait. Because I remember whenever I would hear any little noise, I'd be like, waiting for him to start crying. And so you're supposed to wait like at least a few minutes to see if they settle. And usually they do.
Yes.
But if not, that's when you know to pick him up. And
David doesn't know the differences.
Differentiate.
Yeah, so he's like, I'm like, girl, just go back to bed.
Yeah.
She's fine. She's like, really? And granted, he was gone for almost 2 weeks. So I was like, you don't realize how much your child changes day to day.
Oh, yeah.
So she added 5 new sounds when he was gone. So a lot of them are now very much that sounding like she's about to start wailing, but she doesn't. She just goes back to bed.
Yeah.
And all I hear is, nah.
She's like, gotcha again.
But what freaks me out is her being silent. And especially now that she's sick, I'm like, are you breathing?
Are you breathing? Yeah. Watching their belly, seeing if it's going up and down.
I put my whole head in her bassinet, and I even sometimes touch her. I'm like, okay, she's okay.
Yeah. I remember waking Zayne up one time because I was like, I don't see his belly moving, but it's because like we have blackout curtains, like everything is dark in his room, so I wasn't able to see. So I picked him up and I woke him up. I was like, well, now I'm stuck with the baby who's gonna...
You know what I do? I check their neck.
Oh, you can see like the pulse?
You can see the pulse, and you can see it like moving, I guess. I don't know. That's what I do. I look at her neck.
Oh, yeah.
And then sometimes I kind of poke at her, and then I'm like, okay, you're good.
Well, it drove me to the point of just like constant worry to where I was like, well, we skipped co-sleeping. He went in his crib at about 2 months, and we had a baby monitor, but something about like not being able to be right next, like immediately right next to him. So I got an Owlet sock, but I got it on Facebook Marketplace. So we saved a lot of money on that because I know that they are pretty expensive, brand new. So we got one of those, and it's really great because it monitors his heart rate, his oxygen levels, and it even tells me when he's in a deep sleep or light sleep or when he's awake. So it helps me to know whenever he's having like a longer stretch of sleep or when he's waking up, and the quality of his sleep. So we got that, and that definitely helped. And it'll alert us like if anything goes wrong throughout the night, so that you can go and check on him. So I think that for me was definitely worth it. And then I had no ideas about like wake windows when I had Zayne. I had taken one of those. So there's this, I guess she's like a sleep expert. She used to be a labor and delivery nurse. Her name is Kara. And she has this whole system called Taking Care of Babies. And I had seen her on Instagram, and she basically had this whole sleep course. So I had bought it, and I started taking it, and she goes over wake windows by age. So whenever they're newborns, they're awake for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. But once they start reaching like 2 to 3 months, they're awake for a lot longer period of time. So when Jimmy started going back to work and it was just me, it was a little bit harder because I was like, why aren't you going to sleep? Like, I don't know what you need. And so whenever you figure out that sweet spot of when to lay them down or when they're tired, because sometimes babies can go from 0 to 100 if you don't figure out that they're sleepy right away. So figuring out his sleepy cues was huge. He would either rub his eyes, he would of course start yawning, and apparently there's also another thing too where the baby's eyebrows were turned red.
Oh.
It's some weird type of phenomenon to where if you look at the baby's eyebrows, if they turn red around them, they're ready to go down for a nap.
Really?
But I didn't learn that until I took that Taking Care of Babies class. So if you have a friend who is expecting, I highly recommend to gift that to someone or a new mom, because I learned a lot from her class. So whenever, every time Zayne would wake from a nap, I would offer him a bottle so that I'm making sure that he's getting all the calories he's needing within the day time. As long it was within 2 hours of a time frame. So every time it reached 2 hours, offer him a bottle. So I knew that he was hungry. So it helps you figure out what your baby is needing because they can't communicate with you. So that helped a lot until he started reaching around 5 months. Did he start sleeping in longer stretches throughout the night? So once he started reaching longer stretches throughout the night, I started looking into like gentle sleep training. So we didn't really have a schedule until he was around 5 months. And even then, we still follow his wake windows. So he's up at 7, then he's going to sleep at around 9:30. He's up at 9:30 and he goes to sleep again, maybe around 12. So just keeping it like that, but as long as we're waking him up at 7, going to sleep by 7 has really helped. And then, so this kind of brings up a little bit of a controversial topic as far as sleep training goes. If you choose not to do sleep training, that is completely fine. If you do, it's completely fine. We waited until Zayne was about 6 months for us to start that because he wasn't needing night feedings anymore. Whenever I would offer him the bottle, he would have maybe an ounce. So I knew he was just snacking or comfort feeding. So I knew he didn't need it. So slowly I started decreasing the amount of ounces that I was offering to him. And then we used the Ferber method. So that's supposed to be the interval check. So you check so you lay the baby down. They have to be awake when you lay them down, but you need to make sure that they are sleepy enough or tired enough to lay them down. So we would do this whole bedtime routine. So we would start at 6 o'clock, we bathe him, we feed him a bottle, we read him a book, and then put him in a sleep sack. And so all of those things are supposed to trigger the baby's brain to know that sleep is coming. So I think that a bedtime routine really helps with that. And then once it reached 7 o'clock, we lay him down, turn on his sound machine, and then you would, if he started crying, we'd wait in 3 minutes, go back into the room, and you're not supposed to pick the baby up. So if you pick the baby up, it apparently makes them think that every time, mom is going to pick me up every single time, and it doesn't help them fall asleep on their own. So it's a matter of like patting them on the back and just saying, you can do this, I love you, making it super short and sweet, and then walking out of the room and then restarting that time interval again. And then it would be 5 minutes and then 7 minutes and 10 minutes. And it took us about a week to a week and a half for us to get him fully sleep trained. So he can fall asleep on his own. The only thing, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. So it's amazing that he knows how to put himself to sleep and he can sleep throughout the night, basically. But whenever we're out at church sometimes and he's getting ready to go to sleep for another nap, he does not settle down in my arms. Like he has to be extremely exhausted for me to like rock him or bounce him to sleep. But I remember whenever he was a newborn, I had taken out my exercise ball and I would like bounce him on it and he would go back to sleep. But now it's like I have to lay him in the car seat and rock it back and forth. So yeah, it's just certain things will trigger the baby's brain to know like it's okay to go to sleep.
I speaking of the wake windows, I was actually reading on the What to Expect app, like they're like, they send you emails. So I was actually reading of the ages. Okay, their wake windows are starting to get longer. The sleep starts to get longer. So it's funny that you say that. So I was reading that last night and saying like, okay, she should definitely be more awake now during the day. And I do agree on the routine because I read another article that I have too about routine, so I do the same thing. Are you good with sleep?
Yeah.
Okay. So I do the same thing. So like before David was gone, we were kind of like all over the place, you know, because she was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So I know when we first had her, our pediatrician told us you need to wake her every 2 hours to feed her for within those first 2 weeks, because she's like, they'll sleep themselves to starvation. She goes, they're done. You need to wake them up and feed them. And she's like, especially too, because they don't know night and day. So she's like, they'll sleep all day and you're up all night.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, do it now. So I was like, okay. So every 2 hours, day and night, we'd be waking her up to feed her and everything like that. Well, after the 2 weeks, we got the go ahead to never wake a sleeping baby.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, I like swallowed my spit.
Oh my gosh. She's choking. I'm about to have to do some CPR.
Oh, okay, sorry. Just came out of nowhere. Anyways.
We'll have to do a slow-mo of that.
God, please no. Can I do it again? Jesus. I get it right. Okay. Anyways.
Before you
I
pass out.
Yeah. So we would have that. She had a pretty good schedule. Like she would wake up at 7, feed, she'd be up, and then she'd go down at 10, same thing, and then go wake up at 12, have a little bit. So she had that good schedule, and then around the afternoon, around 2 or 3, she would be up until like 7. She was just wide awake. So we're like, okay, I'll keep you up. And then she'd go eat at 7, and then she'd go down, and she wouldn't wake up until 10 again. So it was a decent schedule for us, right? So then I would feed her, David would shower, we'd switch off, right? And so would probably go down around 11. She'd wake up at 3:30ish, and then she wouldn't wake up again until 7. So we're like, oh, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
And then when David left, I was like, I don't want her to have that late of a night bedtime.
Yeah.
I was like, I told David, I was like, I love how you guys put Zayne so early to bed. I want the same.
Mm-hmm.
So when David was gone, I switched her schedule. Granted, when he left, she got her tummy issues. So during the day, she really wasn't sleeping much at all. So at 7 o'clock, I put her up, and so during the day, let me back up. During the day, I put her in a onesie, a short sleeve onesie. Every day I get her dressed, so she knows, okay, we're taking off our jammies, we're getting dressed for the day.
Getting ready for the day.
Exactly. So then same thing at night. I would change her, put her in a footed long sleeve onesie, so she knows, okay, these are my jammies. Change her,
time to go to sleep.
Give her a bottle, hold her until she's around that drowsy. Put her down. She loves sleeping on her side. So I'll put her on her side, rub her back, and go, you're okay. And then she's good. And sometimes she'll stir up a little bit. So, of course, she would do it when I'm in the shower. So it's like, okay, I'm trying to hurry up and shower. I'd comfort her. She's good. And then she'll roll on her back and sleep until whatever. So then when he got back, that kind of got a little off. So, but that's what I'm trying to do right now, because I did read routine is they love routine. So that's what I'm trying to get her into now, so she can do that. And then I'm gonna put her in her crib at 3 months. I would do it at 2 months, but I feel like since she's going through this little sick spell, I'm gonna keep her in. But I think at 3 months, I think she's really gonna be good. And then I wanna again concentrate more on her sleep schedule, because I really think the time change is messing her up.
I know. I really wish we didn't have time changes anymore here in Texas. I thought that they were gonna stop that.
I heard that too. But yeah, it's not good. And I feel like people who have babies like around December to January and February, and then boom, time change happens in March, you're just like,
that's the time change or the timing that they were used to.
Yeah, we were like, oh, this is perfect. And then it's like this time change happened, and you're like, ugh, she's going to bed later and later, but in reality, she thinks it's only 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then too, the days just go by so quickly. I mean, the days already went by quickly when you have a baby, because you're just like, kind of in like the same routine all day. You're like, oh my god, it's 5 o'clock. Where did the day go? But yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do now, and hopefully just continue to work on that routine with her so she can be in her room. And then same thing, I heard mixed things too. Like I had my mom's coworker tell me her twin boys were sleeping throughout the night at 4 weeks.
That's amazing.
And I was just like, Jesus.
Sometimes you're just lucky like that. Sometimes you just have a really good sleeper.
Granted, I think she is a good sleeper because she was doing some good stretches. I think on the hardest days, her longest stretch was 6 hours.
Wow.
And that was after she had the tummy issue. I think she was so tired from those 2 days of everything she slept. And since I didn't sleep, having those 6 hours too was like, oh, that felt amazing for both of us to catch up. But yeah, I'm trying to get her back into those 3 to 4 hour spurts of sleep. Because right now she only wakes up once in the middle of the night.
That's really good.
So I really think she's gonna be good moving forward.
Oh yeah, she'll be really good independent.
Yeah, because right now she's at 5 ounces for feeding. So I'll give her 5 ounces in the morning and before bedtime. And during the day she drinks about, well, depending on her mood, she'll drink about 4 ounces. But yesterday she drank 2 7 ounces.
She's probably going through like a growth spurt.
I think she is, because when I was telling you this morning, I was holding her. I'm like, I think she's losing her newborn scrunch, which makes me sad.
I know.
But I'm like, you're kind of getting sizable now. She's very lengthy, you know?
Yeah.
So I was just like, yesterday when I was holding her and playing, you know, doing the faces with her, I was like, you're getting hefty, you know? Which is great. I'm glad she's gaining weight on this new formula because it's thinner.
Yeah.
I was worried she was going to lose weight on it. But yeah, I'm realizing I think she is going through a growth spurt because yesterday she ate 7 ounces within an hour.
Yeah, because like Zayne is only at 6 ounces.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez. But I think, is his formula thick?
I don't know. Not really. It's kind of like it's pretty watery compared to, he was on one that had like added rice in it and that was very thick.
Because hers is kind of like water. That's how I would compare it to. It's very runny. Because I feel like that's why she wants to like consume a lot.
Maybe. There's apparently if you are concerned of how fast the baby drinks the milk, there's something called pace feeding. So instead of like laying the baby like this and having the bottle like directly sorry with that motion. You instead like prop them up a little bit higher and you have the bottle like this.
And horizontal.
Horizontal instead of vertical. And so it makes them work for the milk instead of it just being going down their especially depending on the bottle that you're using.
So I already do that. I do the horizontal thing because what I've noticed too, she'll take all the milk and then won't swallow it and then she'll go and I'm like, girl, this is
she's just playing with it.
She is, and so I'm like, So I'm telling her $270.
Sheesh, how many containers did you get?
We bought it on Infamil because everywhere only has the 12 ounce, and the 12 ounce cans are $35. So we bought the 27 ounce cans off Infamil. Those we bought 4, $270.
But that will probably last you for at least a month and a half.
I'm hoping. We just opened the first big can yesterday, so I'm hoping. But yeah, I'll notice, and I noticed too, since this is thinner, she tries to like gobble it all down. So I tell her, I calm her down. And I'm like, no, we're gonna calm down because you're just And so I'll calm her down, I'll tilt it, and then too, since she collects it in her mouth, I'll tilt the bottle so no milk is going, but the nipple's in her mouth. So I'll let her continue to swallow to get everything in there. So then when I hear the air through the nipple, then I'm like, okay, I'll give you some more.
Does she still do that?
Yes.
Trying to search for the bottle.
That, or she'll like chew on it, and I'm like, it's in your mouth, and she's like, it's in
Zayne does that all the time too. I'm like, can you just drink your milk?
That, or she like flails her hands, and so she's pushing the bottle away. So I just sit there, I'm like, you're doing it to yourself, and she's just like furrows her brows at me. I'm like, girl, I don't know what to tell you.
She's like, I don't know, Mom. So right now, since Zayne is on solids, I was like, because he had been on 6 ounces every 3 to 4 hours, and now I I try to feed him 6 ounces. Sometimes he'll drink only 3 ounces, and then he's ready for breakfast. And then, so I'm constantly having to put the bottle in the fridge because I don't want it to go to waste.
Yeah.
But sometimes he will drink the whole 6 ounces. So I'm like, I wonder when, because I know some babies, they'll be good with like 8 ounces, 10 ounces. So I'm wondering, I always have to look that up. How much milk should my 6-month-old, 7-month-old be drinking?
So I meant to mention too, after the 2 weeks, we only did feed on demand. So if she wanted 2 to 3, great. If she wanted more, we'll give her the more. And then recently, and so I've always tracked in the app the what to expect app, how much she was eating, when the time was. Lately, I've been not doing that. I'm like, you know what?
The feeding.
Yeah, I've not been tracking it.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, let's see what you do. You know, let's see. As I felt like I was trying to be on such a routine.
Yeah.
It wasn't good, or I feel like I was limiting her food because I'm like, it's only been an hour. She shouldn't be hungry, but it's like, well, she only ate 3 ounces. Maybe she still is hungry. Yeah. So I've definitely been letting her eat if she wants to eat.
Yeah.
So then, we've had those couple of 7-ounce feedings, and we had one on the pediatrician day. She drank 4, and then we gave her another 4, and she drank 6 ounces during that hour.
That's what's really helpful about formula feeding is you know how much they're drinking.
Yes, I because you read the articles of how much your baby should be eating, and it's like for the breastfeeding one, I'm just like, I feel like that
because they time it. They I saw this thing to where they have to time how long they're feeding, and that will determine how much they're feeding. Or I saw one woman would pump on one side and have the baby drink, and then however much they pumped is how much they fed the baby. So that's one way to check it out. But that reminded me how you use the What to Expect app. I saw that there's another app called Nara Baby, and I still use it to this day to track Zayne's sleep, but it would track how many ounces of milk he would drink throughout the day. I started picking it up again whenever we started sleep training because I was like, okay, I need to make sure that he's drinking at least this, I forgot how much, it was like 20 to 30 something ounces in a 12-hour period. And so that if he woke up in the middle of the night, I knew that he wasn't really hungry, that I just needed to put his binky in his mouth and then he would go straight back to sleep. But I stopped that probably like about a couple months ago, and now I just use it for his sleep.
Yeah, that's what I think we'll be. I think we're getting on the right track because at night she only does about 4 ounces, and that's it. But right in the morning and right before bed, we'll give her those big feedings. Those 5. We'll start off at 5 ounces. Yeah. If she wants more, great. If she doesn't, whatever.
Put it back in the fridge.
Yeah.
And I think that what was I gonna say? Not me having another brain fart. This happens quite often.
It's okay, I had a choking fit.
I think that something about Zayne's. I think that a lot of people judge moms on like sleep schedules, or like, oh, we have to leave right now because it's time for their nap. Like, I didn't realize that until I had Zayne, because he thrives on his schedule. He thrives on his whole nap routine. Like every 2.5 hours, he's ready for a nap. And then sometimes if we're invited to anywhere past 7 p.m., I'm not going because I don't want to ruin his bedtime routine. If anything, I want to keep him where it's at. I had somebody tell me, well, because he's starting to get a little bit of a separation anxiety, especially when it comes to laying him down at night. So I think when I keep it short and sweet, just tell him I love you, and then I walk out, he's good. But somebody was like, oh, have you had Zayne sleep at like your mom and dad's house? And I'm like, no, why? I don't plan on having him spend the night anywhere until maybe like 2 years. But even then, like, if he doesn't want to spend the night at someone's house, why do I need to introduce that?
Yeah, I mean, she's still so young.
Especially without me.
Yeah.
if we're traveling somewhere and we're staying at somebody's house, then okay, obviously.
Yeah.
But why am I gonna put him in a situation that he's like uncomfortable with?
I'm wondering if that, because so you speak of that, and David and I told my parents that our first trip together, David and I, is going to be to Vegas for the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we can get on the 5 a.m. flight and come back at the midnight flight, right? Because you really don't need much time in Vegas. My parents were like, well, why don't you just spend the night? And at the time, I was like, oh, no, it's fine. We'll just come back. And then now that you say that, I'm like, is it because secretly I'm like, I don't want her to spend the night? Yeah, I mean, I don't care. I mean, you know, I trust my parents and they go to bed early, so I know she'd go to bed early. But it's like, when is the time for your first spending the night, leaving your baby to spend the night with grandma, grandpa, or something? Yeah, that's maybe another segment.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have that extra help, but if you know that you have a certain routine and your baby thrives with his mama and his daddy and what he knows or she knows best, so there's no need to change it if you don't have to, you know, unless there's some specific situation to where you're not going to be able to watch them for the night. And
yeah, I know, like I respect y'all's what's the word, routine, you know, because like I know we'll have dinner and I know the guys are always like, but I want to stay longer.
I know. It's hard because I want to stay there and drink another glass of wine too, but it's not about me. It's about him.
That, and I think it's important too, which I have written down too. I want her to have an early schedule or go to bed early because then you have that one-on-one time with your partner.
Yeah.
You get to enjoy your show together or catch up for the day because, granted, when we put her down, David and I had maybe like an hour, just at least right now. But before we used to have like a good stretch. So like, as one of us is feeding her, the other one's in the shower, right, doing their own night routine. So then when she finally goes down, we get into bed, we talk, you know, or we get time on our phone, or at least I get time on my phone, right?
It's so important to have that intimate, and being intimate with your partner doesn't mean having sex. Like you can intimately have conversation about what you're going through, your stressors, your anything. I think that it's important to have that communication.
Yeah.
Because it's a hard time, and we'll have an episode on life with your spouse after having a baby. But it is nice that I know that every night at 7:00 we lay him down, and then it's just us two.
Yeah, it is, and it's because you know you didn't have a little human for so long, you know, and now it's like they do take up all your time. So it is to go back and regroup with your partner and be like, how was your day? That's something I have instilled in David and I's relationship at a very young thing, always asking each other, how was your day? Because I used to get mad at him, like, why don't you ask me about my day? And so now it's a thing for both of us. Sometimes I have a tendency of asking him multiple times just because I forget. Yeah. But I think it's very good. How was your day today? What did you do? What, you know, what did y'all talk about if you talked to so and so? Okay. You know, I think it's a good, I don't know, of sharing. Yeah. You know?
And I think that sometimes men are not very good storytellers, or they're just like, it was good.
Yeah, it's like David went golfing yesterday with his two friends, you know, Jacob and Hayden. I was like, oh, what y'all talk about? He goes, oh, you know, fatherhood and golf. I'm like, what about fatherhood?
I know. So Jimmy had, he, you know, as your husband or as your wife, like you just have this agreement to where you just talk with each other, and sometimes you have tea to spill. Yes. But it's okay because it's a safe space because it's your husband. And I remember him telling me about some like life altering thing for one of his friends, and I was like, and what happened? Like he just told me that, like he laid a bomb on me, and I was like, I'm waiting for you to follow up with more information.
well, that, or what did you say? Or what did they, you know, you're asking.
What did they say?
More questions. Yeah. You're like, I don't know, I didn't ask further than that. It's like,
why not? Don't you want to know?
That, or what David does, well, sometimes he'll like do the same thing. He'll drop a bomb like, okay, what about A, B, and C, and D? Yeah. You know, he's like, oh, I don't know. And then 2 weeks later, oh, you know how I told you this? And then he drops it. I'm like, did you know that? Then he goes, yeah. I'm like,
yeah. I don't know if they forget or they just want you to be like, they want you to be desperate for that tea.
I guess, but then it's like, girl, when I have tea, you're like, girl, tell me everything.
We'll tell it right away.
Yeah, and David gets into it too, because I'll be like, girl, I go, girl. He goes, girl. I'm like, girl, it's good.
The tea is hot.
Yes. But yeah, I think that must be a man thing.
Yeah, it's just how they're programmed. They're different from women.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you have anything else to share?
I think that's it. Next week, or not next week, but I think the following episode that we have after this, we are going to introduce a new segment called Is It Worth It?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's basically where we bring up any type of baby product and we discuss whether it is a gimmick or if it's definitely something that you should consider purchasing for your baby. So we will make sure to add that in the next episode. But as always, make sure to follow us on TikTok. It's newmommies.club. You can also find us on Instagram as well under the same username. We're starting to get a little bit more active on our socials, so please stay patient. We will make sure to get some bloopers and any type of clips. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
I only want to add, so since Mom Life, we're not going to record until April, so you're not going to get another episode until like the first full week in April. So we're still alive. We're here.
Yes.
We're just taking a hot minute to regroup what we need to do. I have a sick baby, so we're just taking a minute to step back and then we'll be back.
Stick with us.
Yes, for our new routine, but we'll make sure to keep posting, whatever on our socials. So yeah.
Yes. You can also, if you're interested, find us on our personal TikToks. You can find me under Angelica Sells Texas, and then Arianna under Acuna.
It's my maiden name.
We'll tag them. So on our next clip in our TikTok on newmommies.club, we'll tag our TikToks.
Yeah. I'm trying to grow my TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning from someone over here.
I am not anywhere near any type of. I'm probably like still beginner level, but we're getting there.
Yeah. But yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.